Alright, hey, what's up? This is Coach Pabon coming at you. Working on my second weekly vlog that I'm working to put out. First one had to do around New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out on my YouTube channel.
MockTen made this.
You know what? I had some wrestling practice last week. I won't be jogging today because I'm not going to push it and strain my back more. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and walk a couple of laps. That's why I'm wearing this hoodie, even though I'm in Southwest Florida. It's not actually cold out here. It's actually pretty hot. And I'm hoping that, this walk, maybe a mile, 2 miles or something like that will help loosen up the ligaments in my lower back. Do some stretching afterwards, some real light stretching, and then keep it going from there. Alright, see you guys later. Alright, so I didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to videotape a lot of different things this week. The fact is I didn't make the time. Okay, that's something that I have to fix, something I have to work on. Making the actual time, putting that time, that effort into going ahead and picking my video shoots and what I'm gonna go ahead and share. Probably put together a couple of things from a wrestling tournament we went to this past weekend, Friday and Saturday. Maybe I'll slide in a couple of highlights from there. I'm going to do a question and answer session. A lot of times in my classes, I have students that have a lot of questions. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a few. I'm not going to read this entire thing because then the video will be way too long. All right, some of the questions are really simple and straightforward, just the kind of basic questions that students are curious about teachers. Some questions go a little bit deeper, a little bit more like thought-provoking, philosophical type questions. Some are questions on advice. First question is, how many kids do you have? Right? When I'm in class, a lot of times I like to create a little shock factor, and so I'll just be like, oh, I got 20 kids, and half the class is like, what? Right? And they're freaking out and stuff like that. So no, I don't have 20 kids. I have 3. I have 3 great kids. I have a son. He's my oldest. He's just turned 22. I have a daughter who's 18, and I have my youngest daughter who is 16, and she's a junior in high school. Do you like teaching at Eastleigh County High School? That's the school where I currently teach and coach. Yes, I do. If I didn't, I wouldn't be there. I just made my 6th year now in January, right? 6 years that I've been at that one school, and I've always said, after my first year, I've always said I don't see myself ever teaching, classroom teaching in any other high school. In the future, would I consider middle school, elementary school? You know, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. Their start times are a little bit more interesting, but I like the high school age group. I just feel like I can do a lot more with those students that are 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, you know, getting ready to go into the world and experience things, the real world, the pre-adulthood for the first time. So I like teaching at East specifically because I like the culture there. I like the variety of students, the different backgrounds, right? I got students from all over the place, so I like it, right? Students at East have a little more grit, a little more ability to kind of overcome, right? Some of them with the backgrounds that they have and things like that they've shared with me over the years. So that's what I like. If you didn't end up being a teacher, then what would you like your job to be? I'm gonna flip this one around just a little bit. A lot of times what students, when they're trying to figure out what they want to do, if they're thinking about college, what they want to study, things like that, I usually flip it around to them and I ask them, I'll tell them, you know, if you hit the lotto like tomorrow for like $900 billion with a B, okay, you wouldn't have to worry about anything, right? You wouldn't have to worry about it. Your kids probably wouldn't have to worry about anything financial. Your grandkids, maybe even your great-grandkids wouldn't have to worry about anything financial, right? And then I asked them, so if you hit the lotto for $900 billion with a B, what would you still do to occupy your time, but you wouldn't expect to be paid for it? You would do it just because it's something you love to do. And so what would I be doing if I wasn't teaching? I think coaching. I love coaching. I've been coaching in one way or another ever since I was around probably 16 or 17 years old. Okay, it started off with martial arts and being an assistant instructor in the school where I first started learning. Eventually being a full instructor. Eventually I had my own school for a couple of years in New York, in the Bronx, before I joined the military, before I joined the Navy. Once I was in the Navy, I was coaching there. You know, I was the NCO in charge of our PT and then our physical readiness, and so I would always help, you know, sailors and stuff like that were having trouble passing their PT test and scoring high enough to not be exited out of the Navy, to not be discharged, right? So I've always been coaching in one way or another, right? So that's probably what I would see myself doing if I wasn't actually teaching right now. Why did you want to be a teacher? That kind of ties in with you know, the whole coaching question that I just answered right now. Is I've always been teaching, coaching, one way, shape, or another, right? Going all the way back to being 16, 17, assistant instructor as a martial artist, moving on up. When I was in the Navy on my ship, even as a you know, low E3, E4, I always had a way with analogies and breaking information down to the lowest possible denominator to help people understand. So also on my ship, besides being in charge of the PT for my department, I was also the training NCO, right? So I did a lot of the trainings myself, but I also helped people do the trainings and help them break information down. When I went ahead and got out of the Navy and I started working as a civilian, as a contractor, I went to work for the Army as a civilian. In short time, couple of months, I was also doing trainings there for my peers. Again, it was because of my ability to break information down in a way that, in simple terms, that other people can understand while maintaining the integrity of the technological information, right? So that's kind of why I wanted to be a teacher. My wife was a teacher for a couple of years when we used to live in Maryland. She taught first and second grade. The job I had at the time was very flexible, so when I wasn't working, sometimes I had time to go ahead and volunteer in her classroom on field trips, things like that. And I just kind of liked the idea of teaching. I just wasn't always excited about the salary that teachers earn, right? It's not a lot. But that's in a nutshell, that's why I wanted to be a teacher. I had an opportunity, the door was open. I walked through it, jumped in, and that's that. Maybe in a future video I'll explain a little bit more. There were some other things that transpired and happened that kind of led to my transition into becoming a teacher, but that'll be for another video. Do you like teaching? If so, why? This is one of those questions I always tell my students, you know, only do things if you like doing it. If I didn't like teaching, I might have done it for a year or two and then I would have moved on to something else. Okay, I do like teaching. I like the interaction with the students. I don't care for a lot of the paperwork, the administration side of it, lesson planning, as far as like the minuscule details that go into the lesson plans, but the actual teaching in the classroom, interacting with the students, that's what I do like. I like being able to influence students and help them, and not just in content, right? I also like helping students, when they find something that really triggers for them and they get really curious about something. I like helping them develop that curiosity and learn how to find answers for themselves and learn how to think and have the right thought process, and to develop a way to always never give up, right? To always look for a way for a solution, right? That's one of the things I always tell my students. I want to hear solutions. I don't want to hear excuses. Why can't we call you by your real name? Right? And this question, what they mean is not call me by my first name, Sam. Right? And at the beginning of the year, beginning of the semester, I give them my real name. I'll tell them what my name is, Sam Pabon. I tell them that for the rest of the time they're in school until they graduate, my first name is Coach, and my last name is Pabon. Okay? And I tell them that they cannot call me by my first name until the day that they graduate and they actually cross the stage and they get that certificate, that high school diploma in their hand. At that point, if they want to call me Sam, I will go ahead and accept them to call me, accept their calling me Sam by my first name. But only then. Until then, my first name is Coach. Okay, I'm gonna have to come back to this question. Would you recommend joining the Army, the Navy, or any other branch of service after your own experiences? That question is a little bit more detailed and deeper. This video is already getting a little long, so I'm gonna save that question for another video because I don't recommend one over the other. Okay, so I'll come back to that one in a future video, I promise. All right, the one question I am gonna leave off with is somebody wrote, what's your biggest fear? Right? What's your biggest fear? And my biggest fear is one, regret. Right? Being 95 years old, looking back and regretting something. Right? I tell my students I don't live with regret, because any choice I've ever made, I've made it. Okay, and regardless if it was a negative experience or not, it was a choice that I made. So there's no regrets there, okay? And anything that happened, whether it was a negative experience or a potential failure, I always do my best to learn from that experience and move on. It doesn't happen like that. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to kind of look back and learn, but I always do learn and keep moving forward, right? That's the thing, is siempre pa'lante is a Spanish saying, always forward. And so that's my biggest fear, is regret or mediocrity, not doing everything I can to improve where I am currently in life. Okay, whatever that is, right? I don't want to give in to mediocrity. I always want to be looking to improve. Okay, it's that chase. That's what makes life interesting. It's the chasing the goal, the chasing the dream, the chasing the improvement. It's the journey that makes it more interesting, that makes it fun. What I've learned is it's not arriving at a specific goal. It's actually the journey. So you always gotta, as you're approaching a goal that you've set and you're about to accomplish it, you better have that next goal ready to go. You better have that next dream ready to go, or else, if you think the second you think you've arrived, you're gonna start falling backwards. And I've learned that one the hard way. Okay, I've fallen, and I've learned that one the hard way. Okay, and I'm gonna do my best to never make that mistake ever again. All right, and so with that, it's Coach Pabon. See you on the next video.
MockTen made this.